Thank you. I work in the area of water, as he has introduced. Today, I'm going to speak about something not very comfortable, nasty subject, human waste. We call it as shit. Each one of us in this room and outside, we produce this shit every day. And if we don't, we feel very, very uncomfortable. So we consult somebody to get it out. We often tend to flush and forget. We are very comfortable to flush every day in the morning, probably in the afternoon, evening, and we tend to forget. And that's where once you flush and forget, my work begins. So today I'm going to speak about, and I'm going to confront you and show you what happens after you flush. Where does it go? Who moves my shit? And what's going to be its impact? And as I said, it's not going to be a nasty subject, but we need to confront. And each one of us are part and parcel of this whole journey. We all know that as a country, including Indore, is stressed for water. Cities are running out of water. In fact, we fetch water from very, very far off to drink, to wash, to bathe. That's one side of the story. At the same time, mindlessly, we flush almost like 6 to 10 liters of water just to flush out what we defecate. Now, doctors and nutritionists, when you open your Instagram, they always encourage you to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water for health reasons, which we put alarms, we do all sorts of things to drink that 2-3 liters of water. But when it comes to flushing, we just don't care. We flush 6 liters of water mindlessly, the fresh drinkable water. Now that's still okay. But what's not okay, and absolutely scary situation, is that every gram of feces that we produce has about 100 billion bacteria. Is actually equivalent to the population of the earth. Our feces is nothing but a cocktail of bacteria, cocktail of virus, protozoa, helminths, which are actually large in number, and we flush this cocktail of pathogens into the system, and the impact is in terms of health, in terms of pollution. In fact, it's one of the single most reason for spread of cholera, typhoid, diarrhea, and many other diseases. Now, at one level, we are flushing the water. At the second level, we are also flushing the disease. Now, let me take it back further down. What happens next when you flush? This load of pathogens get into the drains, nalas, goes into water bodies, rivers, streams, and only about 28% is treated. Rest of it goes directly into the environment. As I speak, in our country, in our cities in particular, 70% of the waste that we generate every day goes into the environment without treatment. Just visualize that situation. Every flush that you do it is a beginning of a crisis. The crisis is in terms of wasted water, crisis in terms of untreated sewage, and the crisis in terms of disease. Now, how do we deal with this? Currently, the system is broken. The sanitation system, the way we think, is actually broken. In fact, we follow a Victorian era solution of 1900s of flush and forget. It's actually came from British Victoria of flush and forget, and we introduce in our cities, in our towns. And this can't continue. We need to start reimagining the way we deal with sanitation. We need to reframe in the context of today's conversation. So friends, I'm going to tell you the story of my own journey and the journey of my friends who start looking at reframing sanitation. Now, before I do that, what we do, how we are trying to bring in a combination of tech solutions to deal with this sanitation, let me also tell you the hard realities on the ground, how we deal with it as today. Today we deal with a model, as I said, a Victorian 1900s model, which was absolutely appropriate at that point in time because of the cholera outbreaks in London that time. So they came up with a model of burying pipelines from the households, take the waste into a nearby water body, treat it and discharge. It was very, very appropriate at that point in time because of the high cholera outbreaks during industrialization, periods of industrialization. Now, can I replicate that in Indian cities like Indore? Why can't we replicate it? For a couple of reasons. Number one, high capital cost, high maintenance cost. It's water and energy guzzler because you need to put a lot of water to flush through the pipelines. It consumes a lot of energy. You need to dig open the roads to bury these pipelines. And most importantly, the cost of treatment and the human loss often incurred because somebody has to clean up the clean up the chokages. People go in and they often die because of the suffocation, asphyxiation. Because of these reasons, India could not replicate this model beyond a point. Only 30% of urban India are connected to sewer systems and about 28% gets treated. We could not replicate even after 70 years of independence that only 30% of households are connected to this network systems. That's when Swachh Bharat came up with an alternate model as a solution to deal with this crisis. The alternate model is about on-site systems, building toilets, building a containment system, we call it as septic tanks, and the waste sits there partially treated, partially digested, and we have built 6 million toilets in urban areas and large number of public toilets, and we have declared open defecation free. So I thought my job is over. And that's where the story has begun. I used to work in a city called Warangal, something like Indore, very close to Hyderabad. And then we found, when we went there, a massive story was emerging. These tanks which used to get filled with shit, it gets full over a period of time and somebody has to remove it. So the septage, as we call, it's nothing but a black concentrated human waste, gets evacuated periodically and taken out, and somewhere it has to be thrown. And we saw that this waste was going into water bodies, drinking water systems, land disposals, and it is coming back, the disease was coming back. This happens in every city. This happens in Madhya Pradesh, this happens in Chhattisgarh, this happens in Telangana, everywhere in the country. The waste, we thought we have solved it, it's coming back and hitting it. At the front end, we are not able to see, but what's happening behind is exactly what you saw. We need to start looking at the sanitation in a completely different way. We came up with this idea, what is called a circular sanitation solution, where we have a toilet. The waste coming out of the toilet has to go somewhere. It has to be treated. It has to be treated to such an extent that there is no pathogen. The waste that gets settled can be used for soil conditioning or fertilizer, and then the water should be completely recycled for agriculture and various applications. We came up with this idea called fecal sludge treatment parks. It was introduced in Warangal to begin with. Now it's almost like 800 parks are available all over the country. These are not, why it is called a park? Because anybody can walk in, kids actually can come there and they see how the waste gets recycled again and again and again. So what happens in this park? We have a technology called pyrolysis, which is a thermal treatment. The waste comes there, gets treated in exactly less than 8 minutes to 1 hour. It's pathogen free. And then the biochar, the sludge that comes up is actually like a gold, which is used for agriculture and various applications in our garden, kitchen gardens. In fact, the mayor, one of the cities that we work, the mayor actually promotes this as a product that can be used for gardening and other applications. The liquid gets recycled for agriculture purposes or the horticulture purposes. It's a zero liquid. What comes in, nothing goes out. The beauty of this solution is that it's modular. I can set up anywhere. I can, introduce an indoor of a different size. It doesn't take much land. It treats completely pathogen free because of the thermal treatment, and the speed of treatment is absolutely fast. We can solve the problem of human waste through this approach of circularity, where the solids and the liquids, whatever we produce, gets back into the nature. Now, we thought the problem is over, but it's not easy. We need to find land, we need to find the right kind of governments to support this cause. So that's when we came up with an alternate solution. Why don't we take the treatment into the commode? Why don't I bring the treatment back into the pot that we sit? So we don't need pipelines to carry it. Whatever you flush actually gets back into the system. This is a reality, and I'll show you in the next 1 minute. The waste that we produce every day, the pathogens gets killed in the same commode. The water that we use in this system, we use less quantity of water. We just use 1 liter of water. Now, what happens to that water? It gets treated in the system and goes back into recycling for the flushing. Now, if there could be evaporation losses, how do I make up that water? Do I need a fresh water? No. We use urine as a makeup water. So every day we use urine, so that gets added to the quantity, and then this is like a closed loop system. Nothing goes out once we plug in. You can plug in and forget. This system is about plug in, flush, treat and reflush. Now, this may appear to be a theory. It's not a theory. Actually, it's like having a washing machine at home. Washing machine, we use a lot of water and we flush the water. In this case of a reimagined, reframed sanitation solution, we don't need to flush the water out. The water gets treated, it's pathogen free, and then gets recycled again and again. It meets all the discharge norms. You don't need any pipe networks to carry the waste. You don't need plumbing to carry the waste. You don't need to flush it. You don't need power to carry this wastewater all the way to some river. It gets sorted out in the same system on which we sit and defecate. You've seen the visual. This is a reality. This toilet is a reality. It is not a toilet. It's a treatment system at site. 10-15 years back, we used to have phone with cables. How many of you had phones with cables? Many of you? What do you do now? We don't have cables. We went from a networks technology to a non-network technology. Because we went for non-network technology, we could bring so many brands. We could bring so much of competition. The prices have come down. It has become affordable. Had it been a network technology, we couldn't have reached where we were. That's exactly what we are trying to do. A network system to a non-network system. Friends, next time when you flush, think about the crisis you are creating day after day downstream. It's not just about flushing. It's about health. It's about dignity to somebody else because someone else is cleaning up our shit. It's also about water and planet. And that's where we need to start thinking about alternate solutions. Alternate solutions where we need to abandon this whole flush and forget model, and we need to start embracing an alternate model of flush, reflush, treat and reflush. Now, how do we do that? We need a collaboration. We need a collaboration of the parliamentarian who has come, the governments, start envisioning the circularity in the sanitation space, accepting that it's a reality, accepting that it should be taken forward for our own sake. We need incentives, pricing, the way solar energy got supported in the beginning. Now solar has become omnipresent. And we need people like us embracing and asking and demanding for change. Unless we come, all the three P's come together, these solutions cannot move fast the way mobile has moved. The way electric vehicle industry is moving. It's not a completely off-track solution, friends. It's not a science fiction. It's going to be a reality in the next 1-2 years. When we started, we had a phone which used to be for a means of communication. Now it's packed with a lot of features. Now houses are going to be totally off-grid, off-power. You will have a pack which can power this whole building, which will be sitting in a corner. In future, we will have toilets without having any sewer pipelines, no wastewater, wasted water, no disease, and no polluted rivers. It will be totally off-grid. So we look forward to support and collaboration from all of you. Thank you very much.